Was Abraham Lincoln a president?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was just a whatever publical figure.
Welcome back to Delulu Diaries, where the timelines don't match, but the receipts always do. Today I thought we would do something a little different and go and see what people are saying over on the Amber subreddit, because I know a lot of people stick to just YouTube. They don't check any other websites or go anywhere else. They just get everything from YouTube. And these other forums can be really fun. So I went through and picked a couple of threads that I thought were interesting and wanted to go ahead and share them with you. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. So this first one is, what's the Amberlynn moment that truly made her unredeemable to you? And they say for them, it was scarring people in her life so bad during arguments that they felt like she was going to hit them. And then another one was of her accusing somebody of SA and misgendering them, talking about Casey. So when we get into the comments, this first person has a lot to say, and I agree with pretty much everything. They say, Casey, everything from the fact she was college age while he was a teen, how controlling she was towards him, certain phobias, Rain and Petal's eavesdrop accusations, making fun of him later on for binding his chest, the treatment of her animals, Gracie, Rarity, the puppy they had before Twinkie, Wasabi, Twinkie, and how Amber decided to go to Chili's while claiming her dog was in pain. Meanwhile, Michael B. Petty saw that the Chili's was on the same road as the 24-hour emergency vet, which she claimed there wasn't any near. Her comparing her journal to Anne Frank's diary, her coming after women, calling them all kinds of derogatory names, which you can see in her story, Scotty. The lies, the lie that her aunt hated her because she was fat, lying about breaking up, lying about just anything, basically, and allegedly using all of her ex's stories as her own. And then lastly, using her money to gift people, but then having those gifts be hung over those people's heads. Stealing Beck's inheritance, making fun of Dana saying she's only losing weight because she can't afford food, and also claiming to have some mental disorders solely to blame her personality on them, such as BPD. And then someone responds saying, to add to this, the I don't want to talk about it really showed a lot. Now, this person really kind of hit the highlights. I agree 100%. So I started watching Amber right after the Destiny split and her getting together with Beck. And so that's kind of where I'm most familiar with. So for me personally, the most irredeemable thing that I saw at first, because it goes in scales, you know, like the more you learn, the deeper the rabbit hole goes. For me, it was mostly seeing how she was treating Beck during their relationship, kind of put up some red flags. And then as I started watching retro reacts, I pretty much agree with this list. Like seeing her treat the cats so poorly was a huge moment for me. But then when Twinkie was in pain, she went to Chili's, and I watched the Michael B. Petty version first. When I saw that it was on the same road, I was really, really irritated to her. Her treatment of women definitely is kind of crazy. This person points out her Wattpad story, Scotty, which I've seen a little bit of that through Mr. Snowflake's reading of it, but I actually thought her on the LCU was kind of crazy to see like how she talked down to women doing a certain type of work, even though arguably she is in the same line of work. She keeps her clothes on, but she posts stuff that is very clearly for people in Tommy's community, which is basically in that line of work, if you know what I'm saying. They also point out her lies. The fact that she said that her aunt hated her because of her size was a big one for me as well when I was first learning the lore, because I just remember being like, oh my gosh, like that is crazy to lie about. You know what I mean? Like, because it does paint her aunt in such a crazy light. And so for her to all these years later, like confirm that that was a lie, I thought that was wild. Lying about breaking up, yeah, she does that all the time. I mean, it's to the point where like I do updates on her every so often just because I know people like to keep up with her, and her and Tommy are always rumored to be breaking up and stuff like that, and people just don't even really care anymore. I still bring it up because I think it's important context for if people are trying to follow along, but it's to the point where we know they're going to get back together at this point. And then also using her ex's stories as her own. That's, whew, that is so, oh my gosh, that one is actually one of the more irritating ones to me. It's not necessarily the worst thing she's ever done, but it's like somebody's story is so personal to them, you know? So to take somebody's story of coming out and claim it as your own, I mean, I don't understand what her own story could have been that was so not worthy that she wouldn't just use her own story. You know what I mean? I don't know if she's ever come out and said what her real story was. As far as I know, she still maintains that that is her story, but you know, she does that kind of thing with all kinds of stuff where an ex will say something and later on she says that that happened to her, or it happened to her but slightly more dramatically or whatever. So, you know, I think that definitely goes hand in hand with one of her personality disorders, because when we did the therapy video on it, which I'll try to include a link if I can remember to that, but they did say that that was a pretty strong symptom of some personality disorders. So I think that makes sense. And then to the person who replied and said that the I don't want to talk about it really showed a lot, I agree, because that really shows how intense her anger can be. There were a lot of moments early on that made me realize that she was not a good person, but I honestly want to say the last 2 to 3 years has really put it into like, not just irredeemable, but like it really has showed her true colors. The way that she talked about how she was with Emily, Emily's account of what happened, Beck's account of what happened, and then seeing Amber pop off and get truly, truly angry during live streams where she couldn't just edit it or cut it out or anything like that. For me, that was like final nail in the coffin. Like, I already thought she had done irredeemable stuff up to that point, but that was when I really was like, oh, we're getting the full picture here. Anyways, moving on, somebody else says rarity. Someone else says when she said that Beck didn't care for her in that way after she got together with Jade, which I agree, that was disgusting. This person also says not only did she treat Beck like shit, Beck literally wiped her shit. The audacity of her to even say that. And that is so true. Like, the end of the Beck era was very difficult to watch because I don't think Beck is a perfect person. I do take issue with the way that Beck asks for money, even though Beck had a platform pretty much handed to them. I also do think that Beck sometimes says and does things that I don't agree with. But at the end of the day, I think Beck was a very good partner to Amber. And for Amber to turn around and humiliate Beck on stream, to talk crap about Beck for months after the breakup, even after Beck said, hey, please stop talking about me. I really do not want you talking about me. The whole thing was just really disgusting. Now, someone else did respond to that. I'm going to leave it up on the screen for a minute so you guys can pause and read if you want to. I'm not going to read all of that out because it's pretty similar to what I was just saying. But it just was crazy, I think, for a lot of us because we already knew the type of person Amber was. But in live stream era, since she wasn't doing editing and we saw it all acting out live, I think that's when we really started to see not only suspicion that there was mistreatment going on behind the scenes, but pretty solid evidence of what the day-to-day life as Beck was, because we were seeing it real, like in 4K at the time that it was happening, if that makes sense. And then this one was a little bit of a throwback, but so freaking accurate. They said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The abuse of the Alzheimer's and dementia residents at the memory care home. And then somebody responded to shed some more light. So just in case you guys didn't go that far back, the second person said, I remember something about her getting annoyed that some residents were asking her if she was pregnant, and she said she was going to start telling them she was pregnant with an alien and other ridiculous stuff like that. That's something you can get away with doing to a nosy coworker that has their brain fully intact, not an elderly person with dementia that you're supposed to be taking care of. Oh, and how she thought it was so cute and funny that she never did anything they asked her to do because they would forget it right away. And that is so, so accurate to that time period. First of all, regarding the pregnancy, that was a story that she really thought was funny. Like, she was like laughing, howling about how funny and cute and clever she was for thinking of that response. So she told the lady that she was pregnant with twins. She gave the twins names, which if I remember correctly, one of them was Rarity, is what she said was the name of the twin. Then she said that she had told her all these other convoluted stories and that the next time she asked, she was going to tell her she was pregnant with an alien. And again, it's like, these are people you're supposed to be taking care of. And I'm not saying you can't like joke and tease around with people, but like, it's not the time, the place. It's not an appropriate person to be joking around by messing with their memory or their like thinking ability or whatever. Saying something that is so reality shattering, such as being pregnant with an alien, is something that could give them genuine discomfort. I mean, some dementia and Alzheimer's patients can't even like process where they're at. And so that's all I'm saying. And I'm sure you guys know this. And then also to her last point of like Amber being asked to do stuff and just not doing it because they would forget. That was ridiculous. I mean, we watched a retro react with Mr. Delulu to some of her time in the resident home, and there was somebody who came up and asked her where the bathroom was, and instead of getting them up and walking to the bathroom with that person, she gave them directions. And it's like, no, just go walk them over there. That is literally what you're getting paid to do, is to take care of them. Like, especially when I found out, because I thought it was just an elderly care home. When I found out that it was for people with memory issues, I was like, that is crazy that you would give a list of instructions, because it wasn't like the bathroom door was right behind them. She was like, just turn right and then turn left and then it's right there on the left. Like, that's too many instructions for somebody who has memory issues. So that really was truly egregious. And then just to have a little bit more fun with it, because that other one was a little bit more serious, and with Amber, everything's a little on the serious side, but this one is favorite fake moments. And it says, this was Amber reading the template letter that comes with a 100K subscribers plaque. It was something like, you have entertained or inspired people. And she stops and makes this face as if the person wrote it for her personally. Maybe she thinks they did. Why does she always look so smug and condescending? So obviously in the replies, people are saying their favorite non-genuine moments. Somebody posts, I'll never not take the chance to post this one. And then it's a screenshot of Amber at the child's grave that she went to visit with Destiny. Someone responds and says, I mean, this was unbelievable. I think this moment shows exactly who she is better than any documentary can. And then a second person says, yeah, the whole, aw, she was so cute. And then this stupid face. I just can't. That little baby girl died and she can't show an ounce of actual sadness or genuine sympathy. And I agree 100%. So for those of you who don't recall this moment, it was Destiny's friend's child who had passed away. Amber, on the way to the child's grave, was rocking out to some pop music, dancing in the car, and then it's just a hard cut to her in the cemetery. She shows the grave, and then she turns the camera around to show herself. She makes this little face, and she goes, yeah, it was so sad. I think she said she crashed a four-wheeler into a tree or something like that, which is not how the child passed away from what I'm aware of. A lot of people in the comments were saying that that was inaccurate, and I agree that doesn't sound correct, but I don't know for sure. So if you guys know about that, put that in the comments so that I can learn something new too. But she goes, yeah, she was really young, like 4. And then we hear Destiny in the background go, no, she wasn't. And she goes, or 3, I thought, 4 or 3, which is crazy that you would think like that a 3-year-old could drive a 4-wheeler. That's not even kind of close to what could happen. But then Destiny goes, no. And Amber goes, oh yeah, she was 7. And I think that was the age that they landed on. So, I mean, that's huge. I know a lot of people don't have kids, and that's understandable. If you're the youngest in your family, you didn't grow up around kids, I can understand not knowing these kinds of things, because that's how I was. I wasn't around a lot of kids before I had my own. And so I didn't have an idea of what the ages were. But Amber has spent a lot of time around children. She has helped babysit and watch people's kids and stuff like that. So she should know that the difference between a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old is crazy. But once again, she doesn't really care about that. She just cares about getting her moment in the vlog. Then somebody else says she thought she won the lottery, when in fact it was a scratcher that car dealers send to everyone. So yes, she believed that they wrote that just for her because she is special and unique, and that she is beloved by everybody. Somebody responds and says Ambi is terrified of the idea of being ordinary and common. And then somebody else says, oh, she's uncommon, all right, for all the wrong reasons. And that just made me laugh. But I do remember that. Like, she got a little mailer from the car dealership, and she like actually scratched it off and it said you won, but like all of them say you won. So it's not like she actually won anything. It was like an advertisement for her to go down to the car dealership, but she really thought it was genuine and that she had like won this huge prize. So I just thought that was kind of funny. And then the last one we're going to talk about, somebody responds and says, anytime she has to pretend to be sad about someone else is disgusting. She does this little fake frown and goes, anyway, back to my rotisserie chicken. And someone responds and goes, oh, guys, look at our new red couch. Referencing when Destiny lost her cat Gracie and Amber was like, oh, but anyways, what do you think about our red couch? And then somebody else responds and is like, her pappy had a heart attack today. Slurp. And someone adds, life is so short, which is what Amber said after she found out that I think it was Destiny's grandfather had a heart attack. I'm really not too well versed on that era of time, but yeah, she just announced that somebody has a heart attack and then goes right back to eating her soup and then goes, life is so short. Like, she doesn't look upset at all or concerned or think that this is a moment to like maybe be a little bit serious. Nope, right back to the soup. Anyways, I thought that would just be kind of fun. If you guys liked our little foray off of YouTube and you would like to see more content like this where we just react to what you guys have to say, either in my comments or on other platforms like Reddit, let me know, because we can definitely do this kind of thing again. I just know that when I was watching just reaction channels, I never left YouTube. And so I didn't even know there was this whole other world off of YouTube. But yeah, so let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. And if you made it this far, you already know. Stay Delulu, but not that Delulu. I'll catch you in the next one.